Hi, welcome everyone to Coleman Report Live, May 3rd edition. I am Joseph Coleman. Today we have special guests Lance Sexton and Katie Roach. Welcome back, both of you. This week, Bob will be off. He is playing hooky and driving on Route 66, as he should. And so we have plenty of special guests. Chris Hearn will be on tomorrow and Wednesday, and we'll have John. And we'll have some great shows this week. A lot of stuff going on. Katie, why don't we start off right off the bat? Is the restaurant revitalization fund, is it open? What's going on with that time frame?
Yeah, so it is open. They just opened it at 12 o'clock noon Eastern. So that is open. The SBA website has an Apply Now button on the restaurant revitalization page, so applicants can go ahead and start applying. Now, I did look over it a little bit. I didn't log in, obviously, because I'm not applying, but the applicants are going to need to fill out a portion where they're just going to register to use the website, and then they're going to be walked through what they need to submit and their actual application as well. So that's fairly straightforward. I don't think there's going to be too many problems, but that did just open. It is available.
Well, congrats to the SBA folks. I know they did a lot of time and energy into that project. It was a big priority for the new administration. So I'm glad to see it launched, and hopefully we have zero or little technical difficulties. We're going to be doing a webinar tomorrow on equity injection. So the polls are really going to focus on that. Lance, the question is, the SBA OIG investigations include equity injection fraud and proper verification and documentation. The audience is pretty savvy on that. That is absolutely true. I know Bob and Lance over the years have said that you're writing the credit memos for OIG to read these. So what do you think about that, Lance?
Well, I'm sorry, Joseph, I'm so used to Bob being here. Equity injection fraud is a big issue. The Inspector General is looking at files and will review the equity injection documentation. You have to be particularly careful in those areas where SBA is very clear what the minimum equity injections, such as business acquisition loans or business startup loans, but having proper proof of equity injection, not just proof of the injection itself, but verification that the money did in fact exist before the business started. SBA, if there is an early default loan and the equity injection is not properly documented, SBA can use that as proof that the guarantee should be denied. So equity injection proof, equity injection verification are both very important.
Absolutely. And the OIG was increased their spending funding from all the stimulus stuff, right, Katie? I think they got a big chunk of that. They
have, and part of the reason was they needed to watch over PPP, but they also need to do all the normal things as well. And they're going to have a big job ahead of them in the coming year, and probably clear through another 3 or 4 years past that with PPP. But they're going to continue on with all their normal things as well, and they need the funding for that.
This is another simple one, Lance. The question is, documenting equity injection is the same for loans above and below $350,000. Let's see what the answers come back. I think that is, what's the answer, Lance?
Right on point again. Documenting equity injection does not change based on the size of the loan. You still need proper documentation to support the source of the equity injection, proper documentation showing the equity injection actually occurring. So, the fact that you have to document it, the information you have to gather is the same regardless of the loan size.
And the last is about education. Yeah. So the value or the cost of your higher level education degrees, those are very pricey, is the proper source of equity injection?
Well, and you might get asked this question by medical professionals, maybe an architect, but equity injection, the value of education is not an acceptable source of equity injection. So again, our group has done a great job.
Very smart crowd today, yeah. If you guys would like to sign up for that, just send me an email. We'll take care of it. Katie, let's talk about extensions. A lot of guidance is being extended, but let's get into the weeds in this.
Yeah, so last week we got an extension for roughly the same things. We're talking about scanned copies of documents, signatures, what's appropriate, things like that. Last week we got this for 7A and 504. This week they're going to issue a separate 2. We got 2 this morning for microloan program. So they're just extending everything through July 31st. It's the same rules that most of you are already following. You can submit scanned copies of signed closing documents, and you're going to still need, if you're going to be using scanned copies, then you're going to need to get the original signature within 6 months of the date on the note. And you're also going to need the electronic signatures. If you're not allowed to do electronic signatures on this one. So that is the difference between the two, is this one does not allow electronic signatures, whereas 504 and 7A are accepting them right now.
Okay. Microloan program is a great program. Lance, is it going to be an issue to collecting all these original signatures in the next 6 months, or?
Well, shouldn't be. I mean, in most cases, you can collect those at the closing table or shortly thereafter, but shouldn't be a problem getting the signatures after the fact. And
what's this guidance, wholesale sales of PPP loans? This has also been extended, right?
Yeah, so this is already, again, the same rules we had before. Initially, it was supposed to expire the 1st of May because PPP was supposed to be over by this time. And since it's still going on, they went ahead and extended it. So this is just the same rules. Lenders participating in PPP may sell their all of their interest in a PPP loan to other participating lenders. They still don't need written consent from the SBA. That's fairly unique to this particular program. All PPP loans must be sold to lenders that have signed Form 750, 750CA, 3506, or 3507. The purchasing lender must agree to service the loan, and the originating lender must notify OCRM after the sale.
We talked a little bit about this, but I think $5 million per location, up to exceed 10 million. It's opened an hour ago, and you don't have to register with Sam's or Dunn's, correct?
Right. This is kind of unique to this program. The Shuttered Venue Grant is still requiring the Sam's and Dunn's registration. This one is not, and I think they chose that because it was going to take too long and it would be a burden on small businesses and restaurants and things like that. So hopefully that does reach some of those businesses that were really struggling that needed this. So that is unique. You already said 5 million per location, 10 million total. That's going to be based roughly on the amount that they made last year based on their taxes and the amount lost. So they are going to be doing that, and there is a calculation on the SBA website depending on their situation. They might have a little bit of a different calculation. You're not going to be allowed to get this Restaurant Revitalization Fund grant along with a shuttered venue. You have to pick one or the other. So that is something to know. And also that's your PPP loan is going to affect the calculation for this. From my understanding, they're going to subtract the PPP loan amount from the Restaurant Revitalization Fund grant that is awarded. So it will be a slightly smaller award if they had a PPP loan, but nevertheless, they can get both a PPP loan and a Restaurant Revitalization Fund grant.
Lance, you're telling your borrowers to collect taxes for 19 and 20. What else are you telling your folks to do that have restaurants?
I mean, basic entity information, but primarily their tax returns.
Mm-hmm. Katie, great article today. It's Some fascinating stats on what's going on. 25% said they were closed as of end of February, but there's some other stats that are optimistic. What's going on with this study?
Yeah. So this is a study that Facebook puts out. They've been doing some extra ones this year and last year because of COVID. And they look at the global state of small businesses, and this time they are actually comparing it directly to U.S. stats to see how the U.S. is doing in comparison to the rest of the world. And it does look like in the United States, small businesses are recovering slightly faster than the average, but not too much faster. We've got globally a quarter of small businesses closed at the end of February. But in the U.S., that's only 22%. So it is slightly lower, and I suppose that's a good sign. Similarly, internationally, it's 55% of small businesses that reported a decline in sales. However, that's slightly less at 51% average in the U.S. So we are just slightly ahead of other countries, and it is a good sign there. One thing that's not on the slide that I think is important is that the only thing the U.S. is not ahead on is women-owned small businesses did see a higher number of for decline in sales this last year. And so they are still actually struggling a little worse than the average, but not by much. I believe that's only about 1% difference. So we are right on par with recovery and with global recovery, slightly above average.
And that is a big priority for this administration. Lance, we are going to, these are from Friday, we have released our compensation reports. Those went out. So everybody that participated in that survey should have got an email on Friday. If you didn't, just send me an email. I'd be happy to send the one that you participated in. And Lance is doing equity injection tomorrow, so we'll see you on the webinar and see you back on the show on Wednesday. Once again, we have a full list of guest hosts this week, so that should be fun, a nice change of pace. A lot of stuff going on. We will be doing collateral next week as well, and unforgiven servicing the week after. And then most important, I think the restaurant is just going to be a great webinar, so that's at the end of the month. But if you have any further questions on those, just send me an email and I'll give you some information. Lance, Katie, a great show today, and we'll see you guys tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern. And this concludes today's webinar.
Have a great day.